Hello and welcome to episode 12 of the Dugout podcast. I'm your host, Alexander Cruikshanks, joining you after a weekend of Premier Sports Cup action. The Spartans spear the Staggies, the Dons get past the Spiders, Dessers scores again, Hearts' woes continue as Falkirk progress in a massive upset. High flying Dundee continue their goal scoring form. Motherwell and Moses sink Killie. Dundee United bump out the Buddies, and a double Dyson helps Celtic to a comfortable win. Welcome back, guys. It's a pleasure to have you on again. All three of us talking about the football. First of all, Laurie, how you doing?
Yeah, pretty good. Just glad to be here after a pretty busy week last week. So you obviously missed my reaction to Kelly's first leg as it were in Tromso. I mean, although I did agree with most of what you two said, I did not think Kelly were going to get through the tie, but we did
Mm,
it. I mean,
yeah,
again, at the expense of our domestic form, which has been terrible, but less said about that, the better.
yeah. And Ethan, how are you doing?
Good. Yeah, yeah, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm fine, mate. I'm fine. A lot of it's good. The football's back in full swing. A lot of competitions. Obviously, the English Premier League was back. Um, we have a fantasy football league. The link's on the Twitter if you want to join it. I've had a terrible first weekend. I think I have like 37 points or something. It's really, really poor from me. Um, Ethan, I think you're second in the league because this guy, I think his name's Jack. He's joined and
Yeah.
he's top of our league. So far, more people are welcome. Join in and see if you can beat us. But first of all, before we talk about the weekend, we'll talk about the European ties. We'll go to the Champions League first. Rangers lost 2-0 at Hampden to Dynamo Kiev. I'll talk about the game first before I go to the obvious talking point. I thought the first half was very similar to the first half in Poland. Um, well, Kiev had some good play going forward, but Um, it wasn't really one-sided either way. I thought it was pretty even first half. Second half, I thought Rangers improved, much like the other game. They were getting chances, even with the 10 men. Rangers looked like they could take the victory. Kiev took the opportunity, went 1-0 in front. Rangers put Robin Proper up top, and then they hit them again. And that was the game done with 10 minutes to go or so, 2-0. So Rangers go out, and a lot of implications, massive financial implications. Um, Maybe Clement can't do what he wants in the rest of the window. It seems right now when Rangers don't have the money, it seems like a one in one out policy, and Clement needs to get the bodies out so he can get who he wants in. That was sort of a quick recap of the game. Now on to the referee. That was one of the worst refereeing performances I think I've ever seen in my entire life. Uh, just every time a Kiev player got tackled, they go down holding their head. He'd buy it every time, give them free kicks. They didn't get a single booking the entire game, which I thought was mad because there was a couple of challenges where you could have easily given a booking, where he probably would have given a booking to Rangers players. I'm not trying to dive into conspiracy or anything, but it was just an awful refereeing performance. And the second yellow for Jeffy, what just that's never a booking at all. It's a foul fine. He does like knock him out the air. I think when Tavernier asked why he'd been booked, he said he used an elbow. We've all seen it. His elbow didn't touch him. His arm's by his side. He knocks into him a bit. Definitely a foul. Never a booking. And I think that ultimately is what cost Rangers at the end of the day. Really, really poor refereeing display. I'll just come to you, Ethan, and get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think it's a very soft yellow card. maybe arguably just not a yellow card at all. Obviously, at that point, it makes it difficult for Rangers. Kiev are a good enough team where if you had them a chance, having a man up for most of the second half, they are going to eventually turn you over. And I think that's what they did. Obviously, the scoreline's immaterial at the end, the 2-0. Obviously, Rangers need to go for it when they lose that first goal. Obviously, it's a massive implication financially for Rangers, as you said. And yeah, Rangers just can't seem to really click too much at the moment. Obviously, a good win at the weekend to get through in the next round of the cup. But yeah, guaranteed Europa League football for Rangers. I didn't even realise that until the other day when I checked that they were straight in the Europa League. I thought they had to play another qualifier, but it's good that they miss out on that qualifier. But obviously, it's disappointing for Rangers.
Yeah, extremely disappointing. I feel like the money would have been such a big boost in this rebuilding process that they're mired in right now, and it's it's going to be a tough season for Rangers fans, I think, and for the players because they'll obviously get the stick, and it's just not looking great at the moment. Laurie, will just come to you. Your thoughts on the game and the overall refereeing performance.
Yeah, I think it's a tough one for Rangers supporters to take, really. I mean, as you say, a lot of it is, or could be attributed to that bit of poor refereeing. And, and that's not how big European games should be decided. I mean, a Champions League playoff is not a minor European game, even in UEFA's eyes. So it's a worry that it gets right even at that level because you would think that, that UEFA would be appointing who they see as top referees to the, most important games. But I mean, and Ethan just said it, there's something not right at Rangers at the moment. And I'm not just talking off the pitch, I'm talking on it as well. In terms of a team, it's not really clicking. Even at the weekend, yes, the scoreline 2-0 looks relatively comfortable, but I wouldn't say it was a particularly comfortable game. I mean, more on that later. But I think the Europa League is probably more Rangers level like, from a football point of view. But of course, the finances of the Champions League are just on a totally different level, and Rangers need serious work probably still recruitment wise, and they can't
Mhm.
afford it. Perhaps with Champions League revenue and money, you could afford that. I don't know.
Yeah, uh-huh. For any of our English viewers out there, that money is astronomical for teams like Rangers and Celtic. Obviously, Celtic are a bit more well off right now, but even still, that extra boost is really big coming into the club. It allows them to sign the players that they need to, the good young players that they can, because Rangers and Celtic are selling clubs. Well, that's the way it should be. Although Rangers haven't really fit into that recently. It should be like that. They should be like your Ajaxes and your Benficas, developing, buying young talent and is selling it on for a good profit. Looks like Celtic might be doing that with Matt O'Reilly. I haven't seen a lot on that recently, but he's received a lot of interest. Obviously, they got him from MK Dons for what was it, like 1 million or something, Ethan?
Yeah, 1.5 million from NK
So
Dons. Yeah.
so yeah, they need they need that money to fund that, and then just keep going. But it's disappointing. Um, yeah, I've calmed down a bit since that, but at the time I was really upset with how it went because I felt that if we'd had 11, we would have went through, you know. But that's just the way it goes at the end of the day in football. On to St Mirren. Lost 3-1 to Brann. I didn't really see much of the game. I think I caught the highlights, but St Mirren fans will be disappointed because I thought in the first leg they looked like they could do something going away. Although I didn't think, they'd maybe be able to. However, yeah, disappointing for St Mirren fans, but they did well to get that far, and I don't think anyone expected them to get into the competition. But it will get to this stage and then crash out will be quite a sore one to take. Um, yeah, I'll just come to you, Ethan, for that.
Yeah, from looking at the stats and the highlights and the live feed, St Mirren, they really did, like the first leg, give Bran a good game, and they just fell short in the end. They got that equaliser quite late on, St Mirren, and then they conceded those two late goals. Just very unlucky. Fine margins in the end. And Stephen Robinson will just have to take his trips and focus on domestic competition. I'm sure his aims will be another top six finish, although they had that disappointment at the weekend over their European hangovers, which is something we'll probably talk about multiple times this episode, I'd imagine. But yeah, just it's a disappointing result for St Mirren, but not many people were expecting them to go over to Norway and beat the team who finished second in their division last season. So
No, definitely not. Laurie, obviously you don't have this feeling. We'll get onto this, but what if Kilmarnock were to make it to this point and then go out, by against a team that they look like they could beat? How would you feel about that?
To be honest, kind of a bit mixed emotions because of how Kelly have kind of performed in like domestic competition. Because we're struggling to kind of juggle European football and domestic stuff. And I imagine St Mirren would have run into the same issue because I mean similar sort of side, similar size of squad. If anything, St Mirren's squad a little bit smaller than ours. So I think it's a tough one, of course, for clubs like ourselves, Kilmarnock, and then obviously St Mirren. Again, as you were saying about the Champions League money for Rangers, even for us, the Conference League money is kind of the same. Like for us, that's
Yeah,
a lot. And St Mirren, to their credit, can be really proud of themselves. I mean, Bran as you said, finished second last season. I want to say they're third or fourth just now. They've been maintaining that, whereas Kilmarnock played Tromsø, also of the Norwegian League, in their side, who did really well last season, but this season aren't too far of a relegation battle in the Norwegian League. And a lot of fans and pundits have spent too long trying to compare Bran and Tromsø when it's not necessarily been particularly fair. If anything, Mirren got the harder tie. And just the other day, I was talking on a podcast with a St Mirren fan, Mark Jordan of Misery Hunters, which is basically the biggest St Mirren fan podcast. A brilliant name for a podcast as well. I mean,
yeah,
support Mirren and Kilmarnock, it does bring you a fair bit of, it can bring you a fair bit of misery. And despite his team having lost the night before, he was very much proud of his team, and I'm quite sure that's the sentiment of a lot of Paisley buddies right now.
yeah, definitely. They should be proud of the efforts that they've given, and also they're coming up against like you said, a team that are doing well in their league, but they're also midway through their season, so they're sharper, and because obviously the Scandinavian leagues run from January through so February. I don't know. It's around that start of the year through, and then they obviously have their summer window at a different time. But yeah, on to better news for Scottish football and for Laurie here. Come on, go away to Tromsø and they get the victory. But it was Joe Wright, wasn't it?
Yeah, and
With a
actually,
goal.
I don't want to break the news. It went down as an own goal,
Oh,
sadly
did
for
it?
Joe. But I mean, no one really cares. Obviously, Joe Wright
Yeah.
went from being like villain to hero within a matter of days. Um, but it went down as an OG. But I mean, no one cares. Probably apart from the Tromsø defender.
that challenge was. I know that was last week, but that challenge against St Johnstone was still mental. What was he? What was he thinking? Anyway, yeah. It was. He just lost his head. But anyway, Kilmarnock progress to the next round of the qualifiers in that playoff round, and they go up against Copenhagen, I believe, for of Denmark. Laurie, how are you feeling about it? It just, although you probably the result isn't going to be what you want, it's a feel good tie, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in terms of as a tie or as a football match, I'm a little bit scared of coming up against them. But at the same time, as you say, it's your kind of feel good glamour tie. And then when you qualify for Europe, especially at a smaller club, I'm sure St Mirren fans are the same. These are the sort of teams that you have in mind. You know, what if we could welcome Copenhagen to Rugby Park, or as it was at one point, what if it could be Ajax? Because Ajax was one of the teams that we could have got when we drew Cercle Bruges, and you know, these are the times that you sign up for. It's not it's not trips to Norway or trips to Wales that we've had in the past. It's stuff like, you know, big European side. I mean, Copenhagen, by the way, are no mugs. I'm quite sure they beat Man United relatively recently, and I'm sure they got a result against Man City as well. Not trying to make an example of the two Manchester clubs. I mean, Copenhagen are one of those teams with a bit of
Yeah,
energy about them.
it'll be, yeah, definitely. But it'll be a good trip for those Kelly fans that go over. Copenhagen's a beautiful city as well, so I'm sure that they'll make the most of it and enjoy themselves, even if the result isn't what they want in the end. Uh,
Absolutely. I'm interested. It hasn't been confirmed yet, I don't think. Or maybe it has. I think they put out stuff last night. I don't know how many I don't know how many fans that Kelly have been allocated. I know we had to increase our allocation in Bruges, so we got 2,500 Kelly fans were in Bruges. I think it was actually closer to 3,000 in reality because some Kelly fans bought like tickets in the hospitality section and stuff. So I would suspect we may even, if people's finances allow, bring over a similar crowd to Denmark.
yeah, yeah, that is some away support. I think that just shows how much it means, to get this far because Kilmarnock aren't always like the European football isn't always there for teams like Kilmarnock, and if they can get far, it's a good experience for the fans, whereas the likes of Rangers and Celtic are used to Europa League and Champions League in Celtic's case, of recent years. And it's sort of just become like a formality for clubs that don't have the same financial resources to get that far. It's a really big thing. And it's good for the coefficient, and it's just that it's just a feel good factor around it all. Um, and I hope Kilmarnock progress. I do. Although I don't think they will, unfortunately
Yeah.
for you guys. But
No, I don't think so.
no. On to the weekend's action. I think this is, one of the best sort of League Cup group of games we've had in a while in terms of goals, upsets, that sort of thing. We'll go to the Spartans first. Lowest team in terms of the football pyramid in Scotland left in the competition. They take a top flight side, Ross County, 1-0. Just it's magical stuff, isn't it? To 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 see that happen. I'll just come to you, Ethan. None of us were expecting this, were we?
No, Ross County haven't started the Scottish Premiership season too poorly, and you just expect them a Premiership team to turn over a Fourth Division League Two team. That's just how you expect it to go, no matter kind of what form they're in. But Spartans, I watched the highlights, and um, Spartans were really in the game. It wasn't as if it was backs to the wall. defended Ross County and then had a goal in the break. The Spartans had some really good chances and really went toe to toe with Ross County, and they deserved their win. It was a great goal by Blair Henderson, the captain. He scored 27 goals last season, and he's already got 3 this season. So he'll be looking to maybe move up the pyramid, although he is the Spartans captain. For Ross County, it's a real opportunity missed to
Yeah,
lose to a League Two team. But for Spartans, a brilliant result, a brilliant achievement. I believe I've seen a start of the first 4th tier team to make that stage since Rangers did, when they were obviously in the 4th division, which was quite a while ago. So that kind of shows you the volume of the achievement they've actually getting through to this round.
yeah, definitely. It is. I just couldn't believe it when I saw it. And it was a great goal by Henderson and Ross County. They just, like you said, a missed opportunity, because you expect any top flight club or even a championship club, if they come up against a League Two side in the cup competition, it's an easy buy. That's that. We can play a rotated side. We can get it through. Not too much hassle. But Spartans certainly gave them hassle, and uh, remarkably, they're in the quarterfinals. Laurie, I just can't seem to believe it. Can you?
No, to be honest, I can't believe it. I mean, again, massive congratulations to everyone at Spartans. I mean, Blair Henderson will be wanting some sort of statue. Do they still play at Ainsley Park in Edinburgh? I mean, I don't know if there's any space for a statue there, but but just quickly on Ethan's point, I think Spartans are the first because when you think about it, when Rangers were down in the 4th tier, sorry, Alex, the League Cup hadn't changed format yet, so that was done in what 2016. So by the time Rangers were back up, so I would think Spartans are the first 4th tier side to have at least got through, via the kind of group stage format. Because for a League Two team, getting through the groups is enough of an achievement, let alone getting through your next tie.
Yeah, definitely. And I wish them well in the next stage. Although I think the fairy tale will end. However, you never know. On to Aberdeen. They beat Queens Park. And I think it was. Oh gosh, I've lost my notes. I think it was 1-0, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
last minute.
yeah.
I can't remember the name of the player. It's a new signing. They got in
Is it
recruited.
is it Kiskinen?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's him.
That was, yeah, right. It's coming back to me around. Yeah, they beat them 1-0 at last minute with Kiskinen. Some finish from the boy. And it looks like they've already maybe found their Miovski replacement. Uh, that's big. It's big shoes to fill, Laurie. But it's a positive start from them.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, big shoes to fill and a big shout from you there as well. However, you're a guy that has came in with a little bit of pedigree and a reputation. So I mean, yeah, I think they paid good money for him as well. And
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure they did pay a decent fee for him. Although I think they're investing that Miovski money smartly,
yeah,
across the board. Um, and yeah, Aberdeen. I think for me, certainly, I think they've flown under the radar of how well they've started this season. You know,
definitely. I mean, I
um,
think I think people have underestimated them because they didn't know too much about the new manager, Jimmy Colleen, but he's clearly someone, and I've been someone who's criticised Aberdeen in the way that they've run a little bit in the past, like, and I've gave Dave Cormack a little bit of criticism, but Jimmy Colleen is clearly someone who the Aberdeen have done their homework on, and they seem to have got a guy who's you know, very much a little bit, almost a little bit like Postecoglou in the sense of when he came to Celtic, in the sense of he's insistent on his style and he's going to get players to fit it.
Hmm.
But like when you see Postecoglou bring in the likes of, Kyogo, etc. And I'm not trying to compare them as managers, but in terms of the same sort of thing, Aberdeen want a style and they've got the man to suit that.
And also from what I've seen of Aberdeen as well, they they seem extremely clinical. You give them a chance, they'll take it, and it seems like they're not afraid to give up the ball for a period of time because they know if they get it and get it forward, they'll have the chance to score. Ethan, they just continue to look like a good goal scoring outfit this season.
Yeah, you may look at the scoreline, Aberdeen 1, Queen's Park 0, but you can't win every game 2 and 3-0. There's going to be games where you have to grind out results with last minute goals, and that's what they've done. They've started well under the new manager Jimmy Phelan, or however you say his second name. But 7 games, 7 wins so far. You can't ask for any more than that. They look really good, and they look, you'd have to say, favourites to get third place at the moment. There's
Yeah,
no there's
definitely.
no real other teams that you can really make a case for over them. Um, Obviously, I think it was €1 million they signed Keskinen for, so big fee for Aberdeen. It's brilliant that the managers, as Laurie was mentioning, he's got that Miovski money. Obviously, allows him to bring in his own players, and they look really good so far. And um, you really would expect them to advance to the semi-finals, barring any major shock.
Yeah, definitely. Now we go to Hampden, an empty Hampden as Rangers progressed. Goals from Dessers and McCausland to put out St Johnstone. It wasn't a great game. I watched it and St Johnstone had chances. Their front two looking dangerous. Laurie, unfortunately, you got a bit of experience of that from last week with Kimpioka and Sidibe. St Johnstone, they've got a lot of pace in their side, and I think they're going to surprise a few people this season. Definitely, that with that front two, especially. But yeah, they had chances in the game. They hit the woodwork, but in the end, it was fairly. I wouldn't say it was comfortable, but it was routine from Rangers. They got through and they got the goals. Dessers again. I think that's 3 and 5 he's got this season. Um, and although he's still so frustrating, but he's getting the goals in the now, so you can't really fault the guy. And McCausland with a really cool finish, which you don't normally see from him. He's quite erratic a lot of the time, Ross McCausland. But it was a good finish in the end. There's not really much to talk about in this game, I think, other than Rangers progressed as they should have, and they'll be happy to get through to the next round. Laurie, I'll just come to you on that game.
Yeah, just a couple of things. I mean, St Johnstone's front two, Adama Sidibe in particular, he did spook Kilmarnock, and he probably did the same a little bit for Rangers. I mean, there was chat, or there is chat, that Aberdeen are looking at him. I think he's got a release clause in his contract. But yeah, St Johnstone could catch teams off guard this season. I mean, like last week, as poor as Kelly were, right? That is probably the best St Johnstone performance I've ever actually seen, at least, firsthand. And St Johnstone aren't a team that Kelly have a particularly good record against. So I've seen us lose to St Johnstone a fair few times. But normally you kind of watch St Johnstone and you don't think they're all that great. That's
No,
probably the most impressive St Johnstone side that I've watched. And I'm not usually one for giving Craig Levein credit.
no, it's funny because St Johnstone are just one of those sides. They've always sort of been languishing in the bottom half and fighting off relegation. That St Johnstone aren't a team where you see you're coming up against them. It's not really anything that you're looking forward to seeing. Like you play against, say you play against Hearts, they'll get Shanklin, they've got Jan Danta, Blair Spittle, come up against Aberdeen, but in the past it was Miovski you had to watch out for. every sort of team maybe had that player or that style of play where you're like, okay, there's something here. Never with St Johnstone, it's just a team you need to grind a result out against. But now they've got those two up top that look really dangerous. And Ethan, I think you're a fan of the front two. Although you keep trying to pronounce Kimpioka, and I think you keep failing miserably, unfortunately. But yeah, I'll just come to you talking about St Johnstone this season. How do you think they'll fare?
Yeah, I think they've looked pretty decent in the opening three games of the season. Craig Levine's got them playing pretty well, and yeah, they look like maybe they can punch above their weight this season, and be kind of clear of that drop, which would maybe be a first step into kind of building up the club. They did. I'm not wrong in saying they did get new owners in
Yeah, they did. They,
the
they did.
summer. Yeah.
I,
And I think that'd be a perfect way to build them up into being one of the top upper half teams. Obviously, Craig Levine wasn't very happy after the game over Dessa's goal, but I don't think he can have any complaints. I think there's no foul on the
no,
St Johnston player.
it's never a foul. It's
Um,
it's just sort of a coming together, isn't it? And St Johnson player feels contact and throws himself to the ground. I'm
yeah,
looking for the foul.
Yeah, there's that fine line where if a player's trying to play the ball and somebody gets in the way, but I don't think that was the case with that one. I feel like it was just the St Johnstone player just kicked the back of Dessers, and Dessers played on well and scored. And although Rangers fans give Dessers a lot of stick, he's doing his job. He's scoring goals and some big goals. And
Hmm.
Rangers just got the job done, as you say. They probably could have made it more comfortable for themselves, but they got that late goal to ensure they're in the last eight, which is all that really matters. Yeah,
Yeah. I don't think there's much else to say on that game. Now on to the second upset of the weekend. Hearts lose 2-0 to Falkirk. Um, and I think Hearts fans should be a bit worried. Obviously, that first game of the season against Rangers, everyone thought, "Oh wow, you know, Hearts could maybe do something this season." They looked really really sharp. Gerald Taylor looked excellent. Everyone's thinking, "Oh, this is going to be the new guy that people, maybe Rangers and Celtic, are looking at." Every year there's that one player that stands out for the rest of the division, and Rangers and Celtic are always linked with them. However, since that, Hearts haven't looked good at all. Um, and like I said, if you're a Hearts fan, I think you should be concerned. Getting beat by Dundee, who we'll come on to in a minute. They're looking actually really good. With that front line. But yeah, and then losing to Falkirk in the cup and in a competition where I think if you're a Hearts fan, you should be wanting to win that competition. One of the opportunities to get some silverware, definitely for the cups. I think the league is sort of like always going to be a two-horse race, but the cups are one-off games where they can hope to get something, and their hope was put out by another poor performance. And obviously, great for Falkirk, massive upset. And I think I said that in one of the previews, like there could be a little upset in that, but you'd still expect Hearts to win, and they just. I'm sort of running out of things to say. It's just not a good time to be a Hearts fan at all right now. And Ethan, I think you mentioned Naismith might be one of the first guys to go.
yeah, yeah. I think. I mean, you can't get to lose two of the opening three games with the squad and the players Hearts have. It's just unacceptable. They expect to be doing a lot better. They expect to be the solidified third best team in the country, and And you said about you could see a possible upset. I thought there could have been a possible upset because Falkirk obviously started the season really good. They've won 6 of their opening 7. And from the championship, I know it's very early, but them and them United look like the two kind of outliers that are going to maybe the strongest teams that can maybe push for promotion this season.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's really worrying signs for Hearts and Stephen Naismith, and with a massive European tie on the horizon as well. And again, Falkirk were really well worth for their win. Craig Gordon had to pull out some great saves to keep Hearts in it,
Yeah.
and now Falkirk get a big tie heading to Parkhead in the next round.
You mentioned Craig Gordon there. It seems like though a theme's emerging with Hearts goalkeepers trying to play out for the back and just giving it away, leading to a goal. You know, he waits too long, it sort of gets blocked, and then from there, Falkirk, they come forward and they score. What I thought was a bit strange after the goal, Craig Gordon seemed to be shouting at his defenders, and I think Frankie Kent just sort of turns around and goes, "What are you talking? You just gave it to them, put us on the back foot, and it resulted in a goal." And you know, Laurie, how do how do you think Hearts and Stephen Naismith get out of this?
And to be honest, I don't know because I mean, if you were to, turn the clock back a year, there was, plenty of people in Scottish football and indeed in the Hearts fan base who were saying, is Stephen Naismith really ready for this job, etc., etc. Because he didn't have a perfect start because he was for a long time only the B team manager, etc. But he then went and turned it round, and Hearts went on an unbelievable run. And but as you've both said, Hearts on paper have comfortably the best squad in the league, and it's just something just isn't right. I mean, we all watched the game against Rangers where
Do you mean sorry best? Do you mean best squad in the league? Like apart from
Yeah,
like
yeah yeah
Celtic and that? Because
yeah yeah
I'm not so sure about
yeah
Rangers right now, but obviously Celtic squad
yeah
is better than Hearts.
yeah, Celtic's was definitely better on paper. Rangers is better, but the best squad outside the big two, right?
Okay, I just
Comfortably.
people would be jumping all over you
I think
if
people. I think people can understand what he's saying.
yeah, but
Yeah, yeah,
you know what some people are like.
Yeah,
If you're not literal, they'll be like, "What are you
aye.
talking about?" That sort of thing. Especially in Scottish football and the social media space, people can get a bit angry and feel like you've slighted them when you're not when you've not done it. I know that from first hand experience as well. So
Yeah, yeah, you just get clipped up, absolutely. But as I was saying, Hearts have a very good squad on paper, and again, it's not particularly obvious what's went wrong there. I mean, whether Naismith's the man to lead it, I don't know. I mean, I, I still don't know if I really see Naismith as a manager. However, it's probably too early to sack him, but it's certainly one to keep an eye on. And just quickly give a bit more credit to Falkirk because, and part of how they went on to go and defeat Hearts on Saturday. I mean, they're a team with positive momentum coming everywhere. As far as I'm aware, they're still unbeaten from last season. I mean, they went through all of last season unbeaten, right? And then I think they've still got that record going in the championship. So fair play to John
yeah,
McGlynn and his Falkirk side there.
because for a while last season it looked like it was going to be a two-horse race between them and Hamilton Accies, but they really pulled away. Accies faltered in form, and they showed the difference in quality, and they're I wouldn't put it past them to definitely be fighting to go up this season. And if you're a Falkirk fan, it's a good time. If you're a Hearts fan, you're not enjoying life right now at all. Now on to Dundee, who just look like a goal scoring machine so far this season. Obviously, they get two in the opening day and a 2-2 draw against Dundee United, and then they beat Hearts 3-1, and then 6-1 here against Airdrie. Uh, for Airdrie and Reece McCabe, it's back-to-back heavy defeats, and he says he takes, it's his thing. He wants his team to play out from the back, and he takes responsibility. If they lose heavily, it's him. He wants the players to play that way. But, you know, I admire sticking to your philosophy, but when it's getting to this point where you're just getting hammered week after week, surely you should be looking to change something, Ethan.
Yeah, I think so, definitely. Against sort of Premiership opponents, playing out from the back is always going to be difficult as a Championship team, and against Dale United, obviously, as I mentioned before, one of the most informed teams in the Championship. And yeah, some games you've just got to obviously managers will stick to their style. Sometimes you've just got to be a wee bit more wiser than that. It was 6 for Dundee that really, really looked at the highlights. It could have been a lot more.
Yeah,
So 11 goals in 2 games for Airdrie, really not good. But Dundee, as you said about the goal scoring, the 29 goals in 7 games this season, which is over 4 goals a game. So that set the perspective quite the goal scoring prowess that they've got this season. 6 different scorers as well. They're unbeaten in all 7 of their games this season, and they looked even better. They look even better than they did last season. Like St Mirren, they'll be trying to fight off any teams try to break into that top 6. And based off their performances so far, you can definitely see them retaining that
yeah,
status.
yeah, definitely. And see, it's that front line as well. For me, it's going forward, they're just superb. And yeah, obviously a lot of the talk's going to be on like your Cameron and McCowan and that. Just one guy that I think's actually really looked excellent this season has been Scott Tiffany. Every time I've seen him, on the ball, he just, you know, he's. I think he's always been seen as a talented player, but maybe championships his level. But so far this season, I think he's looked up there as one of the standouts in that team, and he's looked like he's of similar quality to his teammates who have been performing for a good while. And I think if they can hold on to all of them, I think Dundee are in for a good season there, Laurie.
Yeah, I think Dundee are very much having a good season. They're one of these teams that everyone probably feared that they were going to be a one season wonder and fall away, and then no one was really sure. Again, as I was saying, it was Stephen Naismith a minute ago. No one was really sure about Tony Docherty being his own man. But
No,
I tell you what, he has done incredibly well with that Dundee side. And of course, we're saying about Airdrie having had two, really heavy kind of crushing defeats, to Ayr and then of course at Dens Park in Dundee. But the thing is, Dundee scoring 6 goals against anyone, especially an Airdrie side who did incredibly well last season. And then Dundee are probably one of those sides, as good as they were last season, that Airdrie would probably fancy their chances against.
yeah, definitely.
And and that's no slight to Dundee because they have looked excellent. And I've got to say, against Hearts, last week, they were superb. And Scott Tiffany, as you say, was brilliant. But what you say about Scott Tiffany is right. He's one of these players who for years I was always like, how's he not got a Premiership move? There must be something that as fans we don't see. Is it an ability thing? Is it an attitude thing? Is it like, and when I say attitude, I mean if you're someone like, good example of a good championship player who maybe is a little bit sure of himself, but never has been able to make the jump to the Premiership, like Dom Thomas, who I think Queen's Park captain now. I mean, he's someone who maybe probably the best part of a decade ago now was kind of seen as the next big thing to come out of Motherwell. Never really happened. Well, eventually left Motherwell, came to ourselves at Kilmarnock, and whenever whenever we were playing a game like in the League Cup or something against low league opposition, he would look brilliant. But whenever he was playing the Premiership, he would just let the game pass him by. And he's a guy, and you probably see this when he's interviewed on the BBC and such. Like he's a guy who's when he's kind of cocky, likes to laugh at a joke, typical winger a lot of the time as well. But just doesn't always, have that bit of quality in the Premiership. Whereas Scott Tiffany, I don't know what he's like, off the pitch, but he's a guy who at least has quality on it and can definitely handle himself at the top flight.
Yeah, definitely. And this season, I just think there's a different look about him, and he looks like a leader on that pitch as well. He knows he's one of the best players, and he's sort of leading by example. And yeah, definitely, I'm looking forward to seeing more of him and more of Dundee this season. Now we've got Motherwell and Kilmarnock. Be Moses with winning goal. Kelly go out and their domestic woes continue. They just, I think maybe as a case of struggling with the European football, or do you think this season, we were talking about in that last segment there, maybe we would fear Dundee would get found out or whatever. Laurie, I'll just come to you. Do you think there's a chance that maybe this season the McInnes fairy tale comes to an end?
Well, maybe in terms of how well we've done, I don't necessarily think Derek's job is under any threat in that sense. But like maybe in terms of you know, finishing fourth, etc. Perhaps it is, and it goes back to a point. I don't quite know where I stand on it that Ethan made when we were doing league predictions of have we rested on our laurels a bit because when you think about it, we've recruited sensibly, but we've not actually brought in that much in number, nor have we lost very much. So obviously we've managed to bring in Bruce Anderson, keep Stuart Finlay on loan for another season. We brought in Rob McCrory, got Corey and Dava back permanently, and then brought in Ollie Bainbridge, young left back on loan from Sunderland, which, I mean, it's not very much in terms of numbers and whatever. And there's talk that we have spent our budget, which, because we've spent obviously fees or paid fees for McCrory and Daba, and that may well be our budget spent, which maybe gives you an idea of how important European money could be. But it is tough because we're not a team that's on paper at least ready for Europe. But the money would certainly help us. Um, Domestically, we've just been poor. You can tell that we've struggled. And last week, after the St Johnstone game, Derek McInnes took a little bit of heat for his post-match comments, where he admits that we've not really had much time on the training pitch because of all these European games. Because you play a Thursday, you're travelling back on the Thursday night, Friday morning. At most, you're doing a recovery session on the Friday. On the Saturday, you're probably going over the next day's game for playing the Sunday. So you were barely getting a second to train, which is what Derek McInnes was attributing Kelly's pretty lackluster defence to at the moment. I mean, we're also not the best up top either, but I'm trying not to be too pessimistic. I mean, I will admit, full disclosure, didn't see too much of the game yesterday because I was on the radio. However, from what I did see, Kelly were very much in the game, but we shot ourselves in the foot with another very similar incident to Joe Wright's last week. So Stuart Finlay this time, getting sent off for a stupid second yellow. And you think he would learn off his teammate, but there you go.
Yeah, not great again from not from a different player. Poor decision making in the end, and Ethan, it's a competition that, like for say Hearts, Kilmarnock maybe would be looking at for a chance of silverware, and they've thrown that away.
Yeah. At this point, I'm just wondering when Kilmarnock's domestic season's really gonna kick off. Obviously, the massive result on Thursday, and they had that European hangover, maybe in more ways than one, with some of the celebrations. Obviously, it's just not really started yet domestically for Kilmarnock, and that probably is down to the squad and how strong it is to compete in those Thursday and Sunday fixtures. As Laurie said, I was going to say about that Stuart Finlay second yellow card, very similar to Wright's last week. It's just a challenge you really should be making already on a yellow card. And as well, extra time wouldn't have helped Kilmarnock going into Europe on Thursday. They might have just rather just went out in normal time just so that they don't have that extra half an hour of football under their belt, because every little minute's going to play disadvantage when they've got a European tie coming up. You've seen McInnes completed. I don't know if you've seen completed a rare feat, all 5 subs at once, which I thought was quite strange. But yeah, Motherwell got what they deserved. They were the better side, and they probably should have won it in normal time. But the BA gets that header in extra time to win it. So that's a good result for Motherwell, their first win of the season. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. On to Dundee United, who put out St Mirren. Dundee United this season, I think they've had 2 draws, but they all look like they're sort of comfortable at this level and beating St Mirren. Maybe St Mirren with a European hangover as well. But it's a big win and a really good result for them. And yeah, I didn't really see much of the game. I sort of saw the highlights, but I don't really have a lot I can say on it, except it's a good result for them. And they look like they're comfortable with this at this level, which maybe I think a few of us predicted. They'll be finishing comfortably outside the relegation spots. And Ethan, and yeah, Dundee United fans, they'll be happy.
Yeah, another positive result. Not lost yet this season. So yeah, they're doing not too bad. They've obviously got a lot of Premiership experience in their ranks, and they've started the season good. The Dundee United fans will be happy. A good win against a St Mirren team, which, as you said, probably like Kilmarnock, don't have the squad, a deep squad to kind of do the European and Sunday games. But Dundee United still need to go out there and turn them over, and they did, and they deserved to win. So yeah, congratulations to Dundee United, and they have a winnable tie, you'd say, in the next round.
Definitely. Laurie, I'll just come to you. You get anything to add onto that game?
Not too much because like you both I didn't actually see it, but I mean, Dundee United are again probably one of these teams that may well fancy a chance this season because they probably won't be down right in the relegation battle, but also don't have any real distractions of Europe, etc. Their biggest distraction would probably be the team across the road because they'll probably want to still get above them, which is maybe quite ambitious for a newly promoted side, but also you wouldn't have expected Dundee to get in the top 6 last season. So I
Yeah,
think Dundee United could probably be dark horses.
agreed. Now on to Celtic. Fairly comfortable victory against Hibs. Dyson Maida with a double, started at striker. Adamida obviously on the bench after he signed. I think he came on later on in the game, and I think it was Matt O'Reilly with the other goal. Am I making that up?
Yeah, it was Nicholas Kuhn.
Oh, it was Nicholas Kuhn. Sorry. See, in my head, I just see like two guys with like brown hair, and I don't know why, but I like sometimes mix them up. Nicholas Kuhn. Sorry. Do you know why I thought it was Matt O'Reilly? Because I saw a photo of him celebrating with
Yeah.
Maeda. Uh, but anyway, yeah, Nicholas Kuhn, he's having a good season. I think he's got 3 or 4 goals already. But just a wee point I just want to come to you with, Ethan. Obviously, you've got Adamida in and Kyogo's been playing there. I don't think Kyogo's scored yet. But you play Dyson Maeda up top and he gets a double. Is that maybe something that Rodgers should be looking at?
Well, I think Dyson Maeda, Brendan Rodgers said earlier in the season about having three strikers. He said that he gave Rocco Vattel the opportunity to be a part of three strikers. He obviously chose to leave to go to Watford. But I think Maeda definitely can play striker. He's played there before for Yokohama Marinos. He's played there for the national team. I remember at the World Cup, he started a few games up top. So he is capable of playing there. Obviously, with his pace and what he's endeavour into the game, you maybe rather him on the wing because he can have more of a he can have more of an impact that way, where he can push the fullback back and he can really take on the fullback and give him a hard time. Where he can do that as striker, but obviously when you've got someone like Kyogo who can press very well, or Ida who has that presence, but he definitely gives you another option up front and something a bit different. Two good goals, he took them well. But Hibs, same as last week against Celtic, really slow start, and it'll be concerning for Hibs.
Yeah,
And
Hibs
just
look poor,
yeah,
really, really poor.
yep. Celtic look good. They kind of done all they needed to do in the first half of the half again. Kind of took the foot off the pedal. But as you said, Kuhn has been very impressive this season. A lot better than he was last season. I still think
Ah,
he needs to
that's
add
because he's
that.
got his teeth sorted now.
Yeah. Possibly. But I think he does need to add that little bit of going right. He's very left-footed orientated cutting in. If he could add that running down the wing and crossing in with his right, he'd be one of the best wingers in the league. Well, he obviously already is. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it'd
he's
it'd
started to
take him to
improve.
another level because as a defender, if you're going up against someone and you don't know where they're going to go, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
Like, and if he can, even if the crosses aren't great, if he can incorporate that into his game when he can hit the byline and put it in with his right foot, it'll be something, and defenders won't know what to do, and then he will be able to cut in even more because they won't be going, he's just cutting in. They'll be like, where's he going? And it'll really, it's a scary prospect. He's rapid as well. I didn't see much of him last season, and I don't think we saw the best of him at all. But it's frightening for the rest of the division, and it looks like Nicholas Kuhn has finally arrived in Glasgow. Um, after obviously a difficult second half to the season where he joined in January. Um, but Laurie, Celtic are looking really strong this season, and they continue their free goal scoring form, and um, I think they're definitely the favourites for basically every competition.
Yeah, I would certainly go along with that. I mean, I can't really see anyone at the moment, including Rangers, stopping Celtic. It doesn't look like I'm not saying we're going to have a repeat of Brendan Rodgers' first season, like 2016-17. We're not maybe not going to have the invincible season, but I mean, Celtic do look like pretty immovable at the moment. And, you know, the twice I played Hibs have looked impressive. Against Kilmarnock, they were pretty well, they were pretty good as well. I mean, I think we were lucky to get away with only losing 4-0. And and that's not me being critical of my own team, that's just I mean, Celtic could have quite easily scored like 6 or 7 that day. And I'm
Yeah.
quite sure it was the same against Hibs, at least in the league anyway, like last week.
Yeah, definitely. They look dangerous, and it looks like Rodgers has got them playing the way he wants to. And the squad's more settled as well. A lot of people forget he came in during a transition off the back of one of the best managers I think Celtic have seen, definitely in the modern era. So yeah, uh, positive signs for Celtic fans, Hibs fans. I don't know what don't know what they'll be thinking because the Hibs just don't look good at all, conceding a lot of goals, and despite all their signings, they haven't really made any progress by the looks of it. But I think that'll wrap it up for the this week's episode of the Dugout. Thank you to Laurie and Ethan, obviously, for coming on again and giving their thoughts and just helping me because a lot of the time I don't know what I'm talking about. These guys know what they're talking about. So yeah, and thank you to you for listening, watching. Go follow our Twitter at the Dugout 2024. We've got a link to our FPL league on there. Join there, um, and see if you can beat us. Ethan's pretty confident, so see if you can put him in his place. And yeah, thank you everyone for listening, and goodbye.